He was maybe one of the best top 5 guests of all time. And why? He was wild.
He is so shallow, you could not get your ankles wet in him.
Donald Trump appears 11 times in my book, and it's a fascinating little ride through the book.
Trump's got this weird thing for rating women like they're dishes at a buffet. Howard Stern spilled the beans on how Trump would rank chicks from 1 to 10 on his show. Like, who does that? It's like he's playing hot or not with the whole world watching. But first, if you're a passionate Democrat, give this video a thumbs up like you're giving Trump a reality check. Now back to roasting the oversized orange turd. Speaking of Stern, let's talk about Trump's appearances on his show. It's like Trump couldn't stay away from the mic. Stern says Trump was on his show 11 times. 11, that's more times than most of us change our sheets. Why was Trump such a regular? Well, Stern thought he was one of the best guests ever. Trump was wild, according to Stern. And by wild, we mean completely unhinged. Trump would rate women on a 1-10 scale, because nothing says presidential material like treating women like livestock at a county fair.
I thought I was wild. He would come on. He would start assigning numbers to women and evaluating them. I'm like, is this guy for real? What is he doing?
Stern was pretty shocked by Trump's behavior. He'd be sitting there thinking, is this guy for real? Spoiler alert, he was. Trump wasn't playing a character. This was pure, unfiltered Donald.
But in your mind, a great guest.
No, a great guest because he would say anything that came into his mind. He was completely unfiltered.
It's like watching a car crash in slow motion, but the car is orange and has really bad hair.
But I'm like, who does that? You know, it's pretty wild. Right.
But wait, it gets better. Trump didn't just rate random women. He talked about his own daughter, Ivanka. He called her the most attractive woman he ever met and went on about how hot she was. Normal dad stuff, right? Poor Ivanka. Family reunions must be super awkward now. Trump didn't stop there. He'd get into arguments with gossip columnists about women they'd both slept with, on air. It's like Jerry Springer, but with less class.
You'll read about, he gets into an argument with the Daily News gossip columnist, A.J. Benzer. They're fighting over a woman that they both had sex with. He was talking about his daughter was the most attractive woman he ever met and how much he thought she was hot.
Can you imagine being one of those women? Talk about your dirty laundry being aired in public. All this wildness on Stern's show helped shape how people saw Trump. He became known as the guy who'd say anything, no matter how crazy or inappropriate. It's like he was auditioning for the role of most outrageous public figure and didn't realize the audition was over. This is the guy who ended up in the White House, the same guy who rated women like they were hotels on TripAdvisor and talked about his daughter like she was a swimsuit model. It's enough to make you want to build a time machine and go back to warn everyone. Poor Melania isn't the only Trump woman dealing with Donald's weird behavior. Let's talk about Ivanka, Trump's favorite daughter, and apparently the hottest woman he's ever seen. Yeah, you read that right. Trump's got a thing for his own kid, and it's as creepy as it sounds. Trump's been making uncomfortable comments about Ivanka for years. He's called her the most attractive woman he ever met. That's not something a normal dad says about his daughter. It's like he forgot she's not just another random woman he can rate on his messed up attractiveness scale. Howard Stern spilled the beans on Trump's Ivanka obsession. He said Trump was always talking about how hot Ivanka is. It's like Trump couldn't help himself. Every time he opened his mouth, out came another creepy comment about his daughter's looks. The public reaction to all this? People were grossed out, obviously. Imagine hearing your dad talk about you like that on national radio. Poor Ivanka probably wanted to crawl into a hole and hide forever. Stephen Colbert had a field day with Trump's Ivanka comments. He pointed out how shallow Trump is, saying, "Everything you think is happening is exactly what's happening. He is so shallow you could not get your ankles wet in him." Colbert nailed it. Trump's obsession with appearance, even when it comes to his own daughter, is just sad. Stern was pretty shocked by Trump's behavior, too. He thought he was wild, but Trump took things to a whole new level. Stern said, "I thought I was wild." He would come on, he would start assigning numbers to women and evaluating them. I'm like, is this guy for real? What is he doing? When Howard Stern thinks you're going too far, you know you've got problems. The media had a field day with Trump's Ivanka comments. It was like Christmas came early for late-night hosts and political comedians. They couldn't believe a potential president was talking about his daughter like she was a swimsuit model. Trump's Ivanka obsession is just another example of how he views women. It's all about looks and nothing else. He can't even talk about his own daughter without making it weird and creepy. It's like he's stuck in some bizarre reality where it's okay to sexualize your kids. The whole Ivanka situation shows how Trump's mind works. He can't see women as anything other than objects to be rated and evaluated. Even his own daughter isn't safe from his creepy comments. It's no wonder people were freaked out when he became president. Who wants a leader who talks about his kid like she's a contestant in some twisted beauty pageant? So Trump's not just creepy with his daughter, he's got beef with pretty much every woman out there. It's like he's on a mission to tick off half the population. Remember those on-air fights he had about his exes? Talk about airing your dirty laundry. Howard Stern called it crazy stuff, which is saying something coming from the shock jock himself. Trump's got a talent for turning relationships into public spectacles. He'd argue with gossip columnists columnists about women they both dated. Can you imagine being one of those ladies? One minute you're minding your own business, the next you're caught in a Trump-sized drama storm. It's like being in a really bad rom-com, except the leading man is orange and has no sense of boundaries. And let's not forget how Trump treats women in general. He's got this weird obsession with rating them on a scale from 1 to 10. Stern was pretty shocked by it, saying he would come on. He would start assigning numbers to women and evaluating them. I'm like, is this guy for real? What is he doing? Well, Howard, he was being Trump. That's what he was doing. Colbert had a field day with Trump's antics. He nailed it when he said, with Donald Trump, I have found, just sort of following the cat, if you'll pardon the expression, for the last few years, everything you think is happening is exactly what's happening. He is so shallow you could not get your ankles wet in him.
For the last few years is that everything you think is happening is exactly what's happening.
Right.
He is so shallow you could not get your ankles wet in him.
On the air. I mean, it's crazy stuff. So this guy, easy.
Ouch, but also spot on. Trump's feuds with women aren't just limited to his exes. He's taken on everyone from news anchors to politicians. It's like he's got a vendetta against anyone with 2 X chromosomes. Poor Melania is probably counting down the days until she can escape to a nice, quiet spa somewhere far, far away. The crazy thing is, all this drama actually helped Trump's image in some circles. Some folks saw him as this straight-talking, no-filter kind of guy. Others just saw him as a walking, talking disaster. Either way, he was getting attention, and we all know how much Trump loves that. Stern and Colbert's take on all this is pretty hilarious. They're like 2 comedians who've hit the jackpot with Trump's antics. It's almost too easy for them.
And I went, oh my God. You know, it's a weird thing because here a guy is asking you, who asks me to do something like that? If I do endorse Donald and I go all in, I sell out my complete beliefs and everything else, I could potentially be the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court.
Trump's giving them material faster than they can use it. It's like he's writing their jokes for them. But here's the kicker. This isn't just funny stuff. It's actually pretty serious when you think about it. This is the guy who ended up in the White House. The same guy who can't seem to talk about women without being creepy or starting a fight. It's enough to make you want to crawl under a rock and wait for the next election. Speaking of train wrecks, let's talk about Trump's wild ride to the White House. Everyone thought he was just messing around, but joke's on us, right? Howard Stern spilled the beans on what he thinks was really going on. Turns out, Trump's presidential run might have been the biggest publicity stunt ever. Stern says Trump didn't even want to be president. Can you believe it? He claims Trump was living it up at Mar-a-Lago, playing golf and having a grand old time. So why'd he run? Well, Stern thinks it all started with a book.
The first time he said, I might run for president, he put out his first book. And I know some of the people involved in this, and they said, pretend like you're running for president and you'll sell a lot of books. And he did it and it worked. Donald did not want to run for president. I don't think it was serious. I don't think he wanted to be the president. I knew him. He had a great life at Mar-a-Lago. He was running around town. He played golf. He had a good time.
Trump said he might run for president, and boom, book sales went through the roof. It's like he found a magic money-making machine. But wait, it gets better. Stern reckons Trump's 2016 campaign was all about getting more cash from NBC. The Apprentice wasn't doing so hot, so Trump needed a way to stay relevant. What better way than to run for president? Stern said, so what did he say? I'll run for president, I'll get a lot of press. And I really believe that Donald, this was a gimmick to get NBC to raise up his salary and to keep The Apprentice